night. What can we expect from Coach Ferry's group coming here?
You know, high scoring, high octane, really good guard play. The kid Coulter and Mason, you know, they're a tremendous guard tandem, and we'll need to guard better than we did on Saturday. That's for sure. So, you know, Mason's a prolific three-point shooter. Can't give him good looks. Coulter does a great job driving the ball. They do a tremendous job in transition. They scored a ton on St. Bonaventure in transition. So, you know, we're going to have our hands full defensively for sure. But they've, you know, they got veteran guards, and anytime you get veteran guards, you're going to have a good team.
They seem a little bit like Fordham in that they've been down for years, but at least out of conference, they've won those games that they've seen in quite a while. So from the time when you were here earlier in your career, do you see some?
Well, when I was here earlier, you know, they lost a kid, Jeremiah Jones, which is too bad for the season. Good player, and I don't think he's going to be able to get the year back. But when I was here earlier, all those guys were freshmen, Coulter and all those guys were freshmen. And they've just built it, you know, Coach Ferry's done it the right way. He's done it a good way. He's built it with freshmen and let them mature through his system and let them get better. And now they've got a good team. And, you know, they've played well out of conference. They had a little bit of an injury bug, and it took them a little time to get recalibrated once they got in conference. But now they're recalibrated and playing at a high level. So we need to, you know, play extremely well tomorrow to give ourselves an opportunity to win.
Well, you mentioned having to.
Good to have you, by the way.
Nice to be
David.
here.
Good to see you.
To defend better than you did Saturday over Robinson. Overall, if you look at the metrics defensively, they're fairly encouraging, especially in forcing turnovers and such. What have been your impressions of your overall defensive?
Yeah, I mean, our metrics are good. We're top 20 in the country defensively. If you look at the metrics, we're fourth in the country in turnover percentage and second in the country in steal percentage. Those are all, you know, good numerics. But we need to get a little bit better when we don't take the ball from you, when we don't steal the ball, or we don't get a turnover. We need to get a little better guarding because our defensive rebounding percentage is pretty good. It's good enough to be successful, but we need to be a little bit better guarding the ball, I think. But, you know, Richmond presents a lot of matchup problems for you. It's a tough guard for anybody. That's why their offense is so good. They hit a bunch of threes and spread you, and then they got some guys who can really drive you and make plays. So makes it a real tough guard for us. And you know, anytime teams have good guards, it's going to be difficult. And Duquesne has that, and we're going to need to certainly guard a little bit better tomorrow than we did this weekend. But the schemes are different too. I mean, the way Richmond gets their guards free is a lot different than how Duquesne gets their guards free. So schemes are a little bit different, and you know, we need to lock up better than we did.
Can you talk about the status of Jordan and what that has meant for game prep?
Well, Burgess. He's still out. He had an appointment yesterday. I'm surprised you asked it, not Tim. He likes to get the injury updates quickly. But he had everything was on schedule. He'll be out of the soft cast into this week, and then we'll evaluate first of next week, and you know, he may be able to go at Davidson. If not, we'll wait another week, and he could be back. He should be back the following week. So I think the worst case scenario is probably that George Washington game. I don't even know. I just know the games because that's what the trainers kind of told me, but I don't know the exact dates or who we play in between or whatever. But best case scenario would be for Davidson, which I think is a couple weeks away, and then for sure sounds like George Washington, which is maybe another week after that. I think I'm not totally sure how it all lines up, but he's progressing. He's doing what he needs to do in rehab, and you know, the doctor says everything looks good.
Well, with graduate transfer being so much more prevalent in the game today, how have you found that Bill Berry kind of adjusted and assimilated here, and how much did you know about him before you agreed for him to come?
Well, you do quick research. The easiest part to research is how good a player he is. You can, everybody's got a Synergy account. You can log on, and every game's logged, and you can watch all his made shots, all his missed shots, all his turn. I mean, that takes, I did that on a plane ride to Tulsa. It was relatively easy to discern how good a player he is. Then you've got to start figuring out the other stuff. And we certainly did our due diligence. Ed, our athletic director, I had him, I made sure he talked to the athletic folks at Oral Roberts, and he reached out to their athletic director. Our compliance folks talked to their compliance folks. We talked to some of their other staff members there. We talked to high school. You just try to get as much information as you can as quickly as possible, and things checked out for us. I was very comfortable with taking him, very comfortable with who he was, and then it just takes some time to adjust. It's a different level, it's a different deal, and so it just takes him a little bit of time to adjust. But he's adjusted, and he's playing well and doing what we need him to do. He's being efficient. He's taking the right shots. He's moving without the ball. He's figured out what he needs to do to be effective at this level, and that certainly helped our team. So, I like fifth-year kids. I'd do it again if I could get another one just like him. I'd do it again. I mean, I like them. They bring some. KB's a good, solid, steady player, and he's an older guy. He knows what it takes. This is his last chance. He works extremely hard at it. He's driven to go to the NCAA tournament. He can talk to our guys about how, not everybody, when you say charter at most people, it's a charter bus. It's not a charter plane. So, he adds some perspective to our guys. Some of our guys don't live in the real world. Like, they laugh. I tell them, yeah, we drove 7 hours to the Citadel at Chattanooga on a bus. Like, they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, we stop at Cracker Barrel and eat. We stop at Zaxby's. Like, that's what you do. Like, that's how you do it at that level. Like, we don't stay at the Marriott. Like, try going to Cullowhee, North Carolina, guys. Like, there's no Marriott. There's nowhere, you stay 20 minutes away at a Holiday Inn Express and eat the little cinnamon rolls that they have in the morning. Like that's what you do. And so I like having guys who, Hamdi's the same way with junior college. $5, go get McDonald's. Like, I like those, our guys need some perspective. Like, we got catered meals every night. We got all that. That stuff's great, and we're very appreciative for it, but they need to understand that's not how the rest of the world lives. So I like fifth-year guys, especially ones who transfer up. I don't want a guy who averaged 5 points a game somewhere else and wants to come down. I want somebody who, put some numbers up and wants an opportunity at a higher level. So I would do it again. In fact, I'm looking for other ones. I would definitely do it again and would love to have another one. And he's done a good job and been a key piece. We lost some guys pretty quick, and we'd be really bad without him. He's our second leading scorer. We'd be in real trouble without him. So, I understand it cuts both ways. Some teams in our league have lost some guys and that sort of thing. But I think, you look around our league, George Washington has a fifth-year kid from Dartmouth, I believe. Rhode Island's got a fifth-year kid who was at Vermont and I think maybe Towson. Flora McGlynn. I think our league on the whole's probably benefited from the fifth years more than losing those guys. So I like them. Like I said, I'm looking for another.
Coach, how much fun was the locker room after the Richmond game, being able to celebrate?
Well, we didn't really get to celebrate because I had to go do the TV, and by the time I got back from doing the TV and all that sort of thing, everybody was pretty subdued. So. But I know they were excited. It was exciting right after the game. But the locker room at St. Joe's, now we were rock and rolling in there. But it was a little more subdued once I got there. But I always, the fun's in the winning. So I want our guys to have fun when we win. we put too much work into it. I think sometimes people take things so seriously sometimes. But my goodness, let's enjoy it. That was a good road win. Let's have some fun with it. So I think our guys did that.
Are you dabbing yet?
No.
Was St. Joe's the charge, kind of the jolt that the team needed?
Probably so. I think we got a long way to go now. We're only 5 games into an 18-game conference schedule. But if we look back and we have a good conference season, I think that would probably be a pretty. I think this, in between the Georgia Tech and Cincinnati games, and the Cincinnati game, and then that win at St. Joe's, I think that would be the kind of jolts that got us going a little bit. That would, I think that's a fair summation.
Along the lines that it's January, your first place, you're undefeated in the conference, but again, it's January. So how do you pat them on the back and say, you guys are doing great, but there's a lot more work to do? What's your motivation to take it?
We just tell them there's more work to do. There's, I don't see anybody handing out trophies in January for anything. There's a long way to go. Certainly, it's better to be out in the front than chasing from behind. We've got to focus on really what I talk to our guys about is the reason we are where we are. It's because we're taking care of the details. We're doing it's the stuff day to day. It's the mundane stuff day to day that we're doing very, very well. We had a good practice yesterday. We'll turn it around. I think our guys will be good again today. Mac, let me know how you think our preparation is today. If you don't like it, we'll turn it around a little bit. But our guys, it's the way they prepare every day. And if we slip in that, 2, 3, 5% with our preparation and with our daily habits, then we're going to lose. Our guys have seen that. And so, we've got to continue to be great at that stuff and get even better. There's areas, we beat Richmond, but I showed 10 clips yesterday where we were atrocious against Richmond. And so we got to clean those areas up. We gave them 6 points on baseline out of bounds. So that's an area we can get better in. So, we need to clean that up. Other coaches are smart. They're going to watch that tape and start slipping all of our stuff. They're not idiots. And so, we've certainly got things that we can clean up and get better in, and it's not like we've reached our peak. I'd be worried if we were 5-0 and this was as well as we could play or as good as we could be. But we're certainly not there yet. But you shouldn't need to motivate them. It's conference play. Every game matters. On any given day, look at what's happened to some teams in our league. On any given day, anything can happen. So, you've got to be alert, on edge, at all times. It's really, everybody gets excited to play the big games in league, but the leagues are won they're won on a Wednesday night on the road against a lower level team. That's who wins the league. My teams at Chattanooga, we came in second both years. We beat the good teams. We slipped up, and I royally screwed up our preparation for one of the games last year. We'd have won the regular season league championship. But we lost our league title on a Saturday afternoon at Western Carolina. Now we lost to Wofford in the standings, but we beat Wofford by 10 at their place. We didn't lose. It had nothing to do with playing Wofford why we lost. We lost it and Wofford, who ended up winning, lost to the Citadel, who came in last place or 7th place in the league. They lost to the Citadel. That's where it's won. Winning the games that you're supposed to win, especially on the road. Whoever can win the most of those and hold serve at home. It's easy to get jacked up to play the top 3 or 4 teams in the league. Anybody can do that. You're just a bad basketball player if you're not excited to play those games. But if you want to win it, you got to take care of business at home against the middle of the road teams, and then you've got to you got to win again. You got to win on the road, and we're 3-0 on the road. That's good. But that's what you want to do, and that's where it's won.
How did you royally screw up? Tactically or just in terms of
mentally? So I spend a lot of time trying to get our guys mentally prepared for the games. So that's I try to mentally prepare our guys. So in the Southern Conference, you play Thursday, Saturday. We hadn't been playing great, but we were pretty talented for that league. We had a mid-level Conference USA team in that league. We were pretty relatively talented. And we had just kind of like we did at St. Joe's. We pulled an escape job at Furman on Thursday. Furman was pretty good, but not great, and we won in overtime at Furman. And at that point, I needed to kind of really come down hard on them and have a hard practice and really draw a line in the sand a little bit because we weren't playing well. But I loved all those kids, and I believed in them, so I took a real lovey-dovey approach, and we sat around saying kumbaya, and, just we took a real, because at that point we were like, I wanted to say, I don't want to misquote it, but our road record in the league over 2 years was like 12-1 or 12-2. So I was like, hey, this is what we do. We kind of dig out road wins. It's not always pretty. We got the best road. I tried all that junk, and I should have just, looking back, you got to push the right button 7 or 8 times during the course of a year. And we were 6 for 7 that year, which is pretty good batting average. But if we'd have been 7 for 7, we'd have won the thing. And you look back and you just want to, you're upset at yourself. But
That was the Western Carolina game?
that was the Western Carolina game. So, and Larry Hunter does a great job. They had a great team, but we got down huge early, and we actually had a 3 to win it, and our kid who shoots 50% from 3 missed it. But we should have. I mean, we slopped through the game. We had no business even being close at the end. We rallied like heck. We were down 12 with like 10 minutes left, and rallied and just had a chance. But it was it's a lesson you learn. But that if we'd have won that game, I mean, we still went 15-3. That's pretty good in the league. But if we'd have won that game, you go 16-2. And, like I said, we lost it to Wofford. Well, we beat Wofford. We split with them. They beat us at our home court because their kid hit 6 threes in the final 5 minutes. Just one of those fluke games. And that we clocked them pretty good at their place. But that had, we split with them. That had nothing to do with why we lost the league. It was the Western. And we lost at Mercer, who came in 3rd. And we lost there in overtime. And that was a great game, and we played well. They were just better than us that night.
So what do you learn as a coach from that?
Yeah, you learn, you got to every team's different. So the same buttons I pushed with that team, I can't push with our team. So you spend a lot of time figuring out what your team is, figuring out what works with each particular team. It's not like you can just take what worked this year and use it for next year. You've got to change it every time. And so you take you just got to have a good pulse of, it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what they think. I can think all this stuff in the world. I can have all these ideas. What they think and what they know, that's all that matters. That's all that matters, is having their pulse. And so, just getting their pulse and making sure you're pushing the right, you're pushing the right buttons, and you're not panicking. And when you do need to panic, that you do panic, or that you do sound the alarms. And it's ever changing. But as a coach, you always look back critically and say, I could have done this better, I could have done that better. I could have coached this guy better here, I could have done this better here. But there's a code to every lock, and it's my job to decode it every game. And so, it's different every game.
Coach, you guys, I know after the Georgia Tech game, you were kind of visibly distraught with Jaquan and turnovers and everything like that. Has he turned the corner to you? Has he been closer to the player that you?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, what else you want him to do? He had 30 points the other day. I mean, had 7 or 8 assists. I mean, you can't play much better than that. I mean, yeah, he's playing great, but it's what I said earlier. I mean, I hate to go back to it, but he's preparing well. I mean, I was in the office on Sunday, and he's in there on Sunday with the computer watching film by himself. I'm like, I kind of look back, I was like, is that Jaquan? You kind of look back, like, is that him? But there he was, sitting in the corner at one of the GA's desks, humming away, watching film. I walk in Coach Long's office last night, Wes's office, to hand him all the offensive sets for today, or for the Duquesne game, what I like, and have him draw stuff up so we can get it to him visually. And he's in there watching tape of all Duquesne's guards and how to guard them. I mean, stuff matters. We're down 4, and he picks Chandre Jones at half court. Like, that matters. That was based off of tape. He knew what the kid was going to do. So all that little stuff matters. So yeah, he's playing better, but he's preparing better and doing all this stuff. He wasn't doing that stuff earlier in the year. And so that's what I'm talking about. If we lose that stuff, we're done. We're done. And so, you've got to be good at all those little things, and that's why he's playing better. It's not some talent or he's always been supremely talented. He's always been a very good player. It's the details and the preparation and the little things. And he's just got a more optimistic approach to things. He's had a challenging life. He's a great kid. He's got a great heart. But he tends to take a pessimistic approach to some things. And he's really bought into being optimistic, trying to see the good in everything. And you could tell he's better with you guys. Smiling in here, he can talk. And so when you do that, good things happen. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy either way. If you're negative, bad things are going to happen. You choose to see the bad. If you're positive, good things are going to happen. You choose to see the good. And he's doing that, and he's preparing well, and he's playing better. Pretty simple, really. Pretty simple.
But you also said he's supremely talented. There seems to me that there are a few guys who are faster with the ball, and he gets down the court so fast and puts so much pressure on the opponent because of that. Is that one thing you saw when you were recruiting?
Yeah, I watched him play one time, and I'll never forget. I was in Louisville, Kentucky, at the Kentucky Hoop Fest. A guy, Eddie Ford, Travis Ford's father, runs it. And he played for a little team called Tennessee Tigers. And I just went to watch him one night at like 8 o'clock, and I was like, who is this kid? This kid's really good. And you start calling around, and I'm from his area, and you kind of, it was immediate. He's electric with the ball. It doesn't take much to see that. He was just electric with the ball and could get it end to end extremely quick. He guarded well, and so it didn't take a lot to evaluate that he was a very good basketball player. Now he didn't get seen a lot because he played on a non-sponsored AAU team. His high school's not in, it's outside of Nashville, heading towards Jackson, but it's a good little poke from Nashville. It's 45 minutes and off the interstate and winding through some roads. It's a good little ways, and they're kind of outside the Metro Nashville newspaper. Their region went to Clarksville, so all the teams they played were in Clarksville, Tennessee, up towards the Kentucky border. Now they're with all the Williamson County teams, which is basically Nashville. So now he would get a lot more exposure because they're playing teams that are covered by Nashville. But at that time, they played all Clarksville Northeast, Clarksville Northwest, all those teams, which they had good players. Alex Prothris at Kentucky is from there. But so he wasn't exposed. He didn't get as much exposure, and so that's why people didn't know about him. But yeah, he was electric. It was obvious.
Did you go to see him, or did you just go to the game that happened to see him?
I had a tip from somebody that, hey, there was a guard you needed to watch, and a tip from one of his assistant coaches, and then I went to the game and watched, and then I told Coach Smart about him and said, hey, you probably need to go see him in Orlando. And Coach Smart was kind of like, you undersold him. He's a lot better than you just said he was. I said, hey, I think this kid's pretty good. I didn't want to get him too excited, or you sometimes you want to keep your expectations low to make sure you can deliver when you're an assistant. And I told him, hey, I think this kid's pretty good. He's like, pretty good? This kid's great, So then it was just a recruitment from there and getting to know everybody. And he's got good people around him. He's got a great mentor, and he's critical in helping Jaquan perform well and do what he needs to do.
Not being familiar with your Chattanooga teams, are you comfortable with, and do you prefer a team such as this where you can go 9, 10 deep, play guys, that many guys double-figure minutes, or in Chattanooga where you have a 7, 8 guy rotation? How did it work, and what's your preference?
Well, my first year at Chattanooga, we played 7 and a walk-on, because that was all we had. We redshirted a couple kids. My second year, we played 9 or 10. I'd prefer to play. I've always thought 9's the perfect number. 5 guards, 3 bigs, and a swing. kid who play like the 3 and the 4. That's kind of I've always felt I got that from Coach Amaker, who I work for. He would never play more than 9. But I've always felt like 9's a good number. I felt like 9, have a 10th who's capable of playing, have an 11th and 12th who are redshirting, who are transfers, and then a 13th who's just unhappy. That's just the way it is. You're always going to have one who's not happy. So if you can at least limit it a little bit. But I felt like 9's always a good number. We're basically playing 9 without Burgess now, and we'll weave him back in and redistribute some things after that. But I think 9's, that's what we played at Chat last year. And we play. We're not exactly pressing the entire game, so you don't have to play 10 or 11 guys. I mean, it's just part of the reason we're a little bit better offensively is we leave guys in there a little bit longer. They're in sync together. When you're shuffling guys in and out all the time, it's hard for guys to get in rhythm together and that sort of thing. So we try to let them play through some things and get into rhythm. I think it's easier to do that with 9 guys. So I like where our rotation is now. I feel comfortable with that now.
Along those lines, in the second half of this winning streak, the offense shot something like 52%. Any particular reason?
Getting good shots. I mean, we're getting good shots. I mean, we're when you play inside out, you get better shots. We're getting shots close to the rim, or we're kicking it out for pretty wide open threes. So, we're finishing at the rim better, like I thought we would, and you take good shots, you get a better chance to make them.
Or aren't you taking good shots in the first half?
Hmm?
Aren't you taking good shots in the first half?
Yeah, but we're controlling the ball more, so it wears the defense down a little bit. Defense isn't as worn down in the first half. So when you control the ball more, you move the ball side to side, make the defense work, combine it with a little bit of our token pressure that we use, and we always try to start the game running some of our longer sets, so you got to guard us for a little bit longer, and then we can pop open some quick hitters and pop open some of our quicker stuff in the second half, which gets us high percentage looks. You're not falling for that. What's your reaction there? That's what happens, Tim.
I asked for an explanation, you gave it.
I'm just telling you.
You guys good?
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate it.